friends, and welcome to card 10 of my fall series for this year. Today I want to share with you how I created these really cute, simple one-layer cards using some colored pencils and some simple stamping. I hope you enjoy, so let's get into it. Today I'm going to be using this cute stamp set from MFT and Birdie Brown. It is called Harvest Mouse. This was a re-release that MFT came out with recently because Birdie Brown is no longer creating stamps. They wanted to release some of her products so everyone can enjoy them. I'm going to start out with my stamping. I'm going to be using some Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. I have it cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I am going to be trimming it out later with a die, but I wanted to have it nice and big so I had room to add my die, which I'm going to be using from Blueprints 27 die set. This came out quite a few years ago. It is still available, and I wanted to use the die to help me kind of center up my image. I'm just going to be using 2 of the cute stamps from this set. I really like this one of this little mouse carrying, I think these are cranberries. They could be cranberries or blueberries, but I colored them like cranberries. And I'm just going to be stamping them down using some VersaFine ONYX black ink. This is my favorite ink to use for colored pencil coloring. It's a nice crisp black ink. Once I have that stamped, I am not going to remove the stamp. I'm just going to flip my MISTI around because I plan on stamping the images again after we're done with the coloring. This is so that with the colored pencils, it kind of leaves a film on your image, and I wanted to make sure we had nice crisp image when we're finished. So I'm going to show you, kind of walk you through how I color with my colored pencils. I've had a few people ask some questions, and I always start with a white base. This kind of helps you create a natural highlight, and then I always layer really lightly up the color. I always start light because with colored pencils it's really hard to take color away, and now you could easily just try to erase it, but I think it's best to start lightest to darkest and go in really light hand and just build the color up as you go. And with my lighting here, it's kind of hard to see it. I do try to change my light here a little bit so I don't get as much of a shine. And I'm just building up that color. This is my favorite green combination. I don't have the numbers, but I'll link to the set that I have. And it's a nice light and dark green to kind of give that nice fall feel of a fall sweater. And I really like using the white colored pencil because it helps you get a natural highlight, and it kind of gives you an idea of where to start. Kind of gives you like a base to get that colored pencil moving instead of it moving just on the plain cardstock. And it really helps the colors kind of be bright on top of that Neenah cardstock. Again, just going lightest to darkest, building up that color, and you always want to make sure you have a nice sharp colored pencil. It really helps the color move. I just use a regular Prismacolor color pencil sharpener. Excuse me. This is specifically made for Prismacolor colored pencils. You could probably get away with using another colored pencil sharpener or just a pencil sharpener, but I like using the handheld manual pencil sharpeners because it helps from the cores of the pencils breaking. Again, going in with the little mouse's face here and starting with that nice light color just to get the color moving. And I wanted to create little gray mice. I've seen lots of different people do white mice. I've seen brown, multicolored, anything like that. But I really wanted to do gray here. I really think it helps the other colors kind of shine, and I think he looks cute as a little gray mouse. Get him all colored in, and I'm going to add a little bit of pink to the inside of his ears and to a little bit of like a rosy cheek. It's kind of hard to see the cheek detail, but it's there. It's just subtle enough to kind of give him a little bit more interest. Color his little hands and his little tail. We're going to be coloring those in with that pink shade as well. And then we'll go in and, again, color his tail and get coloring on his little trousers. It's kind of cute that he's, I'm imagining that he's wearing trousers. I mean, he's got a sweater and a jacket on. So I kind of debated, like, oh, maybe I could color him like he doesn't have pants on. But then I thought, oh, that'd be a little weird with him not having pants on. So I decided to give him a little pair of blue jeans. These little mice remind me of the Rescuers from Disney. There's the Rescuers and the Rescuers Down Under, the little mice that save the kids and things like that. I pictured them. This little guy reminds me of Bernard. If you've ever watched the movies, classic Disney, super cute. But these little mice reminded me of them. Again, building up that color, lightest to darkest. And I'm just using a little mono sand eraser to kind of clean up any areas that I might have gone outside the lines, just to kind of help take away any of that color. I like using the sand eraser because it really helps erase. You could probably get away with using a regular eraser, but I really like the sand eraser. And I'm just going to give him some nice dark, kind of charcoaly colored boots here. And we're going to add a little bit of ground here to make it look like he's not floating. And I'm just using those same light grays. I think this is like French Gray 50. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I just go with colors that I like. And again, I'll link to the set that I have. Going to color in his little crate here. Going to use some browns and some grays. I figured like the bands could be like metal straps around the little crate. I've seen lots of like fruit crates that are made this way. And then the actual slats, we're going to color those in some brown tones. Again, really light with the white and then going in with our brown shades. I really wanted to create some simple cards here. That's why these cards are some of my favorites. It's just simple coloring, really focusing on getting that shading and that detail in there, because these images are the star of the card. There's no other embellishments other than a little bit of glossy accents and some glitter pen, and that's it. I didn't want to add, you know, any kind of fluff or, you know, splatter or anything like that. I wanted this to just be colored pencils and the focusing on that, because it is one of my favorite ways to color in images, especially around the fall and holiday season. I just think it's very warm and inviting, and it's really relaxing. I loved coloring these. I ended up doing these cards over a couple of days. They really didn't take me that long to color. I just took my time, but with juggling kids and home life and all the other kind of things, I did take a couple of days to create these cards. It's the same process with this card. I'm going to add a little bit of music here. Nothing has changed. I'm using the same color combinations that I did on the first one. Once he's all colored in, we'll come back and finish up together. Now that I'm finished with all of the coloring, we're going to go ahead and do our restamp. As you can see here, these have got a nice kind of film over top of them, and some of the detail from the stamping has kind of gotten lost. So that's why we didn't take the stamps out of the MISTI. This part can be pretty scary. If you don't have things lined up right, or you shifted your stamp, or you didn't have your sheet in the corner all the way, this can really mess up your image. So taking it step by step, being very careful with your, lining things up, this can turn out really, really good. And mine turned out great. I was very careful, and I'm just using that same Versamark ink. As you can see, it's kind of hidden a little bit, some of the images and the line detail. Once we stamp that down, it really brightens him up, and you can really see all of that great detail from the artist. Get that one cleaned up and removed from the stamp positioner. I'm going to use a little bit of stamp cleaner to get him nice and clean, because I do plan on stamping them again on the inside of the cards. Get that nice and clean. We'll get that moved off to the side, and we can stamp our other image. I really liked having just a nice simple card. I kind of struggled with it a little bit because I do like to add a lot of, fluff or embellishment or anything like that. But this was kind of a nice pace, nice and simple, focusing on the images and just kind of really practicing with colored pencils. And I had a lot of fun creating these two cards. Now we're going to get our sentiment stamped here. I probably could have done it when I stamped the other image, but I didn't want to do a whole bunch of stamping in case I messed something up or, anything like that. So I'm just using some of the same greetings from the stamp set, and this one is "I love you a bushel and a peck." I love this greeting. It's one of my favorites. And again, I'm just going to be using that same VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Very minimal supplies here. I wanted, again, to keep it nice and simple. So if anybody else wanted to create something similar, you can. Now, you don't necessarily have to use colored pencils. I just wanted to share how I like to use colored pencils and some of the techniques that I have picked up over the years. And again, you could easily use watercolor, you could use Copics, anything like that, whatever is your preference. Going to get our next greeting ready to go here, and this one is "wishing you a happy harvest," I think. I can't remember. It's been a pretty long weekend. We had a lot of fun. It was one of my boys' birthdays over the weekend, and we had a lot of fun with him. We did a corn maze. We do one every year. We've done one ever since my one boy has been like 4 weeks old. We went on his first corn maze with him, so it's become a yearly tradition. We do it every year. Now, unfortunately, last year we couldn't do it, so we made up this year, and we had a really great time. On the inside of these cards, I wanted to stamp those sweet images one more time, just to kind of bring everything together, and I'm using my favorite Simon Says Fog ink to stamp these images on the inside of the card. I love the way that this looks. Nice, simple, kind of brings everything together. And I die cut our panels out using that MFT Blueprints 27 Die-namic. I didn't show that on screen. It was just a simple, ran it through my die cutting machine, and we were good to go. And I just have a white top folding card base out of some Simon 120-pound cardstock. And I'm going to attach our main panels using some 3M foam tape. You necessarily don't have to do this step because these are, technically one layer, even though this is popped up. There's no other dimension other than we're going to add some glossy accents a little bit later. But I wanted to pop it up just a smidge, again, just to give it a little bit of interest. Get those lined up on our panel here. And I really like this scalloped border on this Die-namic. It's one of my favorites. It's one of the only scalloped edged dies that I have, and I have used it a ton. It is one of my favorites. Get this second panel lined up here, and we're ready to go in and add some finishing details. Now I'm going to go in with my black Sakura Jelly Roll pen and add a little bit of highlight to their eyes, some highlights to the apples and to the barrels and their little sweaters. Again, you could totally leave this out, let them be on their own, but I wanted to add just a little bit more interest. You know how I am. I don't like to kind of leave things seemingly unfinished, so I thought adding these highlights wouldn't take away from the images, they would kind of add to them. Going to go in with my Stella glitter brush pen here, add a little bit of shimmer and shine to the images as well. And then we're going to go in with some glossy accents over top of the apples and the little cranberries. I think this adds a little bit of interest to the card, again, because they are one layer, very simple, nothing else going on. And again, it comes out of the bottle kind of cloudy, but as it dries, it clears up, and you'll be able to see that shine underneath from that glitter brush pen. And that will finish up these two cards for today. I really hope you enjoyed these simple, easy one-layer cards featuring some colored pencils and some easy embellishments. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you'd like to see more, go ahead and subscribe and hit the little notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye! On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.